What's up, weirdos? What's going on, guys? All right, so Bitcoin still doing its thing. Still doing its thing. It's back above support. Back above support at 106,891. Actually, no, sorry, we're just a hair below it right now. Just a hair below it. So we're trying to get back above support. We got back above it yesterday. Will we get back above it today? I'm seeing a lot of mixed signals in the market, a lot of different content creators and analysts talking about a lot of different price targets. Some calling for 100,000, 98, something like that. Some people are calling for a V-shaped recovery. What we have to do, guys, is pay attention on a daily basis and take it one step at a time, right? Nobody out there can predict the future. Nobody has a crystal ball, despite what people think that I do. Let's get into the chat a little bit. Big Kev, good afternoon. You can choose what kind of day you want to have. I think it's a good day to have a good day. Let's go. Absolutely. Absolutely, Big Kev. You're absolutely right, brother. It's up to you what kind of day you have. You can be miserable, you can be down in the dumps, or you can be positive. You can find the win in the market because every day there is one. Easy. When I grow up, I want to be like Candyman. I tried to write a joke on paper, but it was... I see what you did there. It was terrible. Nice. J Money, Bulbasaur in the house. First Pokemon of the day. What's happening, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Let's dive into the chat a little bit, guys. See what's going on out there in this wonderful crypto space. All the negativity flowing around. Pretty good metric to me, guys. Pretty good metric to me. J Money says, what's up? Easy says, happy Friday, fam. The lows never as low as they seem. The highs are never as high as you believe. Absolutely. Joy, what's going on? Happy Friday. It is open mic Friday night over on the Patreon, and it is going to be a wine fest over there tonight. I can tell you that much. Holy smokes. H. Barbarina in the house. It's a me, Mario. Sell me? Pff, no way, Robo. So, absolutely. Kizza, what's up, man? Things are a bit right now, but they won't be forever. Patience. Exactly. Pain is temporary. Profits can be forever. Hook 'em. Thank you so much, man. I'm riding with you to the end, brother. Good times ahead. LFG. Zebek. Absolutely, man. Amen to that. We're going to ride this mofo till the wheels fall off, baby. Yo, Mars in the house. What's happening, brother? Another local says, hey, Robin fam, did the M2 money supply capitulate to the lows we are experiencing? No, there is. It is decorrelated right now, but it will recouple at some point. Guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe on the way in. We have 169 people watching. We have 51 likes. Not bad, guys. Not bad. Hit the like button, though. Let's get it going. Let's get it up to 100. By the way, guys, we only need 17 subscribers to hit 15,000. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, whether it's live or on the replay, hit the subscribe button. Push us up over 15K, guys. Let's get it. Jake the Snake says, chat indicator says, we're nearing the local bottom. Amen to that, man. Amen to that. I want to play you guys something here, okay? Oh, we're back above support right now, by the way, on Bitcoin, but I want to play you guys something. I'm trying to clear my throat. This is what I said yesterday. This was me 24 hours ago from right now. This was what I said yesterday. I'm going to let you do whatever you want with what I said yesterday at this time, okay? This is what I said. Listen up. Now, if that doesn't hold, we could come down and test 106,900. But here is the long and short of it, guys. There is, in fact, a CME gap at $104,000. Will we fill that CME gap? Let's put it on the board. Let's put it on the board, ladies and gentlemen. 104,000. All right. We'll just do that. Okay, so let's get rid of this. This is just $100,000, right? So we have the CME gap right down here. Will we come down and fill this gap? Well, we would have lost all of our moving averages at that point. And here's the thing. Again, I touched on this morning. What we've been doing here, guys, right? As you can see, what have we been doing? Well, we've been putting in higher lows, which is a bullish structure, right? However, this collapse down here, we've lost our trend line. If we do not climb back up and close today's daily candle above this red line here at $110,580 roughly, right? If we don't get back up above that level for the daily close on this candle, well, we have officially started a downtrend and we've moved out of the uptrend, right? So that would say to me that we are going to be in a prolonged, not too long when I say prolonged, but at least a couple of weeks, in my opinion, of a downward structure to come down here, right, and test or fill the CME gap before coming back up, right? Because we're putting in a lower low, right? So that says to me potential for a downward momentum over the next week or two, roughly, right? So personally, I'm going to be holding off on DCAing today because I believe we're going to see lower prices. And if we're going to see lower prices, the only way we're not seeing lower prices, in my opinion, is if this, like I said, if this candle gets back above this red line here at $110,581 and closes there. So that is what I said 24 hours ago from right now, right? That was yesterday. Some people were still, for some reason, surprised at the move last night, at the dump last night. Take what I said yesterday, what I just played for you. You take that for what it's worth and do what you want with it, right? So we got some more super chats to get into. Great Scott. Rob, I just got back from November 5th on the DeLorean. Prices are higher. Holy guacamole. Load up. Absolutely. Compadres. There you go. What do we got? Ramona says, please hit the like and subscribe. Happy Friday, y'all. There it is. Absolutely. It is open mic Friday night over in the Patreon as well, guys. Make sure you do not miss out on that. All right. What else do we have? Ethan says, gold top signals flashing with retail lining the streets to buy. Yes, exactly. Yes, where's that capital going to start to rotate into? Probably once we see, I think it will correlate, Ethan, with rate cuts. There's now a 77% chance of 3 rate cuts before the end of this year, right? That's October, November, December. There's a 77% chance of that happening. So as that takes place, we could start to see, like you're saying, Ethan, a little bit of rotation of the capital from gold and silver into more risk on assets. As rates start to come down, you'll start to see that capital rotate into stuff like Bitcoin and crypto. So that's kind of how I see things playing out. There she is, Gamma Goddess. Let's stay focused so we can get this money. Dave, what's up, man? Let's go, brother. Absolutely. Christopher. Hey, Rob, noticed a possible trend. There were 368 days between the first Bitcoin halving and peak, 525 between the second, and 549 during the, what if the cycle is growing? Yes, that is, I've heard that theory before. You could be right. Maybe it's a little bit longer. Maybe it's 585 or 90 days this time, right? That would mean that, what are we at right now? We're at about 525 days right now, roughly, give or take a couple of days. So that would mean we'd have another like month and a half to 2 months before the peak of this cycle, which would bring us into December, right? So interesting. Hey Rob, give your thoughts on Swiftcoin. Every day you ask me that. Swiftcoin is one of my biggest bags. One of my big. It's in my top three. Always in my top three. And honestly, I feel that Swiftcoin is a phenomenal buy right now. That's just my personal opinion. We actually talked a lot about Swiftcoin last night in the Patreon only live stream with Max and Rule Black. So it was actually very, very good. Brandon, what's up, man? I bought Quant on sale. Nice. There you go. Every day I wake up is a great day. Exactly. You're blessed. Look at the blessings all around you. Nicholas, what's up, big dog? Touching some grass this week. Currently on a flight to, what do you, God is good. Holy smokes. What are you going there for, man? William, good to see you, buddy. Splake, selling my body for dry powder. Oh, nice. Jay says, I was panic buying. Don't know why that's not an option here. You know what? Maybe tomorrow's survey will be, were you panic buying? AF, all praise to Brother Rob for staying with us and making us strong. Ditto. What's up, man? Third Pokemon of the day. Hey, Rob, enjoying stacking my Ondo for years later during the... Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Ondo, phenomenal project, in my opinion. Devin says, can't wait for the liquidity from gold to flow into crypto. Amen to that. Amen to that. Ghetto Born says, bye. We at Crypto Future Community by the fear. Quentin says, hey, what's up, Robin fam? Isaac, fourth Pokemon of the day. What's up, man? Damn, I sold it all. I don't believe you. DP, what's up, man? If we dip down to liquidate longs, don't exchanges pay more in shorts? Yeah, but they make money from all the longs, far more, right? And also, DP, you're only paid out on shorts if you close your position, not just because you have it, right? Not if your position's open. One Love says, I have a problem of picking up more Jasmine every day. How do I stop? That sounds like a good problem to have, in my opinion. Zebek Army is here, McNerney. I'll bring the cheese for all the wine tonight. There you go. You're going to need it. Zebek has all my chips at this point. There you go. Strawberry Dragon in the house. Hey, Rob, what's on the buy list? Let's get it. I'm not buying anything today. Honestly, I talked about it this morning. I talked about this morning on the Patreon morning market overview. I'm not doing any buying. I didn't do any buying yesterday. I'm not doing any buying right now because I do think it's possible we could see prices dip a little bit further. In the morning market overview, I talked about how just like that, people are putting in long positions again. There's over $2 billion in longs already built back up. If we jump down to $102,000, another $2 billion in longs gets liquidated, and that's an easy move. So I'm predicting, or not predicting, but I see a possibility of that happening. So right now, I'm just DCAing into stablecoin, and I'm just building up my dry powder bag right now till the smoke settles on the market and we get some sort of confirmation in which direction we're going to start moving. So for all you guys know, for everybody who, like, listen, for all we know right now, no one knows what's going to happen next. Nobody, not me, not nobody, okay? We got to let the smoke settle on the market. For all we know, heck, we could crash down to $95,000, $80,000. I don't think we're going to, but it's possible, right? Market manipulators could try to push us down. In saying that, for all we know, we get an immediate rate cut. We get some bullish news from Trump or whatever the case might be, and liquidity starts to flow from precious metals into crypto. And 2 weeks from now, we're at more new all-time highs, right? There's no so all the whining, complaining, all of the emotions and stuff like that, it might all be for naught. We don't know which direction the market's going to go, and too many people are putting the cart before the horse right now, right? You got to take it day by day at the end of the day. Love the baller jacket, Rob. Thank you so much. William, those negative Nancys, don't let them get you down. Oh, I'm not down, brother. Nothing's getting me down. I am positive. Don't even worry about that. People can attack me, blame me, whatever. I'm not insulted. I'm not upset. I understand people are emotional. I'm not holding it against anybody. It's all good in the hood, man. Beebs, what's up, brother? Oh, House says, I ain't selling poop till we hit your sell points. There you go. Uh, Joy says, Rob looking very Miami Vice. There you go. Absolutely. Maybe tomorrow will be Tom Selleck, right? Little Magnum PI for you. Trump meets with on the 30th. Rate cuts coming around that time. Exactly, Beebs. Um, wearing the same clothes for 24 hours. Nice. David, we still got months left. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Hybrid Dad, people forget that the longer we go sideways, even with a little downtrend, it makes the blast off. Yep, you're absolutely right, Hybrid Dad. Savvy says, loaded up on Miria last night, not losing hope. Everything will be okay. God bless you, brother. Absolutely. David, ABT, PNG is a steal. Everything's a steal right now. Everything. The market has reset. Prices have reset. Everything is a good deal right now. That's just my own opinion. My theory, gold to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to alts. Yep. Yeah. Good prediction. Good prediction. Paul, what's up, buddy? Nicholas says to touch oh, nice. I see what you did there. Isaac says I'm going to take out a couple of grand because I'm struggling here at home, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, brother. Absolutely. Alfredo, what's up, man? Silver down $3 an ounce today. Yeah, starting to see that little bit of a dip. Alfredo says, let's go. Pico and LFG. Tom says, Cookie Dow and Swiftcoin are my two biggest bags. I DoorDash and Uber on the side. Nice. See? That's how it's done, man. Carlitos, I hope Swift can get to 15 cents this cycle. Nice. Swift has a major potential, and yes, I agree. Tokenomics on Swift are amazing. Amazing. Green Tea, where have you been? We have not seen Squirtle for a long time. Rob, I have faith in you. You've got me this far. You're not giving up on us. No, I'm not giving up on you guys. Hell no. Wendy, what's up, Wendy? Good to see you. Rizzy says altcoin season starts November. Nice. Penny Pack says, hate to say it, but I think we see 98K. Hey, I mean, possible. It's possible. Nothing's off the table. Hey, Rob, what's your thoughts on Cookie? I hold a big bag of Cookie. Very, very bullish on Cookie, Tom. Ryan says, the longer it takes, the bigger my bags will be. Exactly. Solana ETF equals ZBEC boom. Heck yeah, Marcus. The world's biggest bull run has ever seen unfolding right before your eyes. Yes. Rob, question, by the market manipulators crashing the market, can that affect the overall cycle? Well, it has to this point. It has to this point, right? Shannon says, grateful for you, Rob. Thank you so much. Ryan says, BTC on Solana, there's only 21 million Bitcoins. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we're caught up on the chat, guys. Let's get into the news. Let's see what's going on around the market. Let's start off with a little Bitcoin dominance. All right, so Bitcoin dominance mirrors past trends, implications for crypto enthusiasts. Weekends are projected to be dull for cryptocurrency enthusiasts as recent market development suggests uneventful days. While sideways movement is anticipated unless tensions with China escalate. There remains a risk of unpredictable statements from Trump in the coming hours. Significant investments continue to pour into crypto space. With Stripe securing a $5 billion valuation for its crypto network, what are the current market expectations? Bitcoin is currently stands at about $106,800, and many altcoins have experienced losses exceeding 5% and higher, actually. Despite the market downturn, crypto ventures like Stripe forge ahead, obtaining investments worth $500 million to reach a valuation of $5 billion. This contrast highlights the immense interest and capital infusion into promising crypto projects, even amid broader economic uncertainty. The anticipated shifts remain largely unverified. With Bitcoin's ability to maintain thresholds like 105,000 while surpassing 107,000 being crucial, yet as the weekend approaches, more positive news seems essential for a turnaround. On another note, exchanges were witnessing robust interest, with TKL highlighting record inflows. The graph of Bitcoin dominance is being analyzed, drawing parallels to the third quarter of 2019. The analysts suggest that the sharp declines from that period might occur. The recent corrections echoes those in earlier days. Though analyst Michael remains optimistic about the upward trend of Bitcoin dominance, reaffirming his target for Ethereum's all-time high above $5,000. What should happen before you quit crypto? Before I quit crypto, personally, I would never quit crypto. I've been here for over a decade. I would never quit crypto. Crypto has changed my life. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Blockchain technology is here to stay, in my opinion. So it's only going to grow. All right, let's listen to one of the most uneducated people in crypto, Jamie Dimon. Credit quality is in a good place today and could improve further.
Probably shouldn't say this, but when you see one cockroach, there are probably more. And so everyone should be forewarned on this one.
That was JP Morgan Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon warning about the private credit market in the wake of the First Brands and Tricolor bankruptcies. Dimon making those comments during the company's conference call earlier this week. And joining us right now with more on the potential stress in the system is Mark Pinto. He is Moody's Ratings Global Head of Private Credit. And Mark, a lot of questions about what's happening here, people looking for other cockroaches. What have you seen so far, and what have you found in that search?
Yeah, good morning, Becky. Maybe related to what we just heard, one cockroach does not a trend make, right? So I think what you need to focus on here is the nature of the losses, the materiality of the losses, and whether or not we're seeing a trend.
Yeah, one cockroach does not a trend make, but where there's one cockroach, there's usually more. I think that's why Jamie said that. In terms of, this may not be hugely systemic. Even these companies that have warned about this have said that it may not even be material in some of these cases.
Right.
But there are questions that are being raised about, in this credit boom that we've had for this long period of time, have standards relaxed, at least in some places, particularly when you're talking about off-balance sheet issues?
Yeah.
What do you think the answer is?
We have been highlighting, whether it's both in the public markets or the private markets, some loosening of credit standards. We've seen looser covenants in both the bank syndicated loan market as well as the direct lending market. But when we dig deeper here and look to see if there's a turn in the credit cycle, which is effectively what the market seems to be focusing on, we can find no evidence. Now, that's what we're seeing today. That could always change. But if we look at the asset quality numbers that we've seen over the last several quarters, we're seeing very little deterioration at all. In fact, if you look at some of the default statistics that we follow very closely, right now, if you look in the global high yield market, the default rate is a little bit under 5%. 2 months ago, we saw 11 defaults within the portfolio of companies that we rate. Last month, it was only 8. We anticipate that next year, the default rate will go below 3%. So that doesn't indicate to us that there's really a turn, again, in the credit cycle.
Yeah, that's certainly what we've heard from the big banks in their earnings this week. Many of them, like, not even taking reserves or taking reserves off the table at this point.
Right.
Maybe that's the headline here, is you think the default outlook is going to improve next year, get even better than where we are right now.
I mean, I'm at a conference here in Washington, D.C. this week. It's called the Institute for International Finance. And you have close to 2,000 bankers, asset managers, and insurers talking about what's happening in the globe today. And one of the words that I keep hearing is resilience. I think with respect to GDP growth, we're doing much better than many people thought just 6 months ago. So again, the credit conditions, looking at GDP growth, as well as an expected decline in interest rates, we feel the credit quality is in a pretty good place today and potentially may improve. What we try to do is follow the trend lines, not the headlines.
Mark, when was the last time that you all at Moody's saw things getting worse and kind of warned about it? Like, how frequently does this happen?
Well, I can tell you, it's interesting because when we first started to see some of the dialogue around deregulation, which, by the way, we now call modernization, or is being termed the modernization of the regulatory framework, and we saw some concerns around GDP growth, we did put the U.S. banking system on a negative outlook. So we were somewhat concerned that the conditions were arising, that we could see a deterioration in credit quality. And in fact, that has not come to pass. And in fact, our own GDP forecasts, as well as some others across the market, have been revised upward. And we still see some upward pressure with respect to, again, the GDP growth we're seeing in the United States.
Okay, just in terms of your outlook now, where you expect defaults to fall below 3%.
Yes.
Put that back in time. Like, what is that reflective of another time?
Yeah, on average, we see default rates somewhere in the 4 to 5% range. In some of the price crises in the past, we've been at 7%. Great financial crisis, we were in double digits in the teens in terms of default rates. So what we're seeing right now is a very, very benign market. Again, things could change because risk is on the move. You talk a lot about private credit. Risk is moving out of banks into non-banks, out of regulated, highly regulated institutions and markets into less regulated institutions and markets where there's less transparency. And I think that's something that the market has been focusing on. If you can't see it per se, then you may shoot first and ask questions later. So I think that's something that the market is probably focusing on a bit more in the context of what we're seeing on the screen.
That is a good counter view to what we've heard a lot of over the last 24 hours, over the last week. Mark, appreciate your time today.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Again, Mark Pinto is Moody's Ratings Global Head of Private Credit, and it was good talking to you today, Mark.
Boom. Anybody holding a steers? I did a deep dive video on a steer the other day. If you want to check it out, if you want to know what they're all about, very, very deep dive, very comprehensive. Make sure you check that video out if you want to know more about it and whether you should be holding it or not. Danny, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Tola, thank you so much for the super sticker, my friend. As always, Tola's always got my back. What do we got? Crypto Crossroad Show says, let's go. Everybody, please hit the like button. Yes, what do we have? 274 people watching. We have 113 likes, guys. Come on. Come on. It's free to hit the like button. Yeah, Mario says modernize. Yes. Dana, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wendy says people are not learning putting all the longs in. Yes. They can't. Can't they see? Yes, exactly. They just keep putting in longs and they're going to keep getting wrecked. Corporate Bitcoin adoption hits record 40% surge. So why is Bitcoin's price still flat? Despite the astronomical rise in corporate Bitcoin adoption over the last 3 months, Bitcoin's prices remain stubbornly low, leaving many users and analysts unable to explain the phenomenon. According to data from Bitwise Corporate Bitcoin Adoption Q3 2025 report, the rate of corporate adoption, Bitcoin adoption, rose by a staggering 40% between July and September, while the Bitcoin price remained at around $115,000 on average. The recorded surge is perhaps the most significant quarterly rise on record, but it hasn't affected the Bitcoin price in any positive way. Most users and analysts see a clear divergence between the record corporate Bitcoin adoption and have raised questions about the strange phenomenon and how it could affect investor sentiment. Among the highlights of the institutional Bitcoin adoption reports is that at least 172 public companies now have Bitcoin in their treasuries, compared to 124 during the previous quarter. The report states that that at least 48 new corporate firms joined the crypto space within 3 months, ranking it as the strongest in terms of corporate Bitcoin adoption so far. On the other hand, data from Bitcoin Treasuries.nft shows that there is an estimated $117 billion in Bitcoin reserves held by these corporate companies, showing a 28% quarter-over-quarter increase. When put together, the entire holdings represent at least 1 million Bitcoin, which accounts for at least 4.9% of Bitcoin's entire circulating supply. Commenting on the growth in corporate Bitcoin adoption, Bitwise CEO stated that the growth was, quote, absolutely remarkable. Institutions and individuals alike are increasingly turning to Bitcoin as a long-term store of value and inflation hedge. Surprisingly, the sharp rise in corporate Bitcoin adoption hasn't done much in lifting the Bitcoin price during Q3 2025. The Bitcoin price has remained stubbornly range-bound due to several possible contributing factors. The greatest one is that the broader economic background has remained challenged due to renewed trade tensions and shifting expectations around the U.S. monetary policy, which keeps risk appetite low. According to CCN analyst Victor, the BTC price, quote, hasn't reacted strongly to corporate adoption because most institutional purchases happen over the counter. How many times have I said that to you guys? Right? People keep asking, well, all of these big YouTubers and Bitcoin maxis are talking about how Michael Saylor's buying Bitcoin and all these corporations are buying Bitcoin. Why is Bitcoin's price not pumping? It's actually can be detrimental to Bitcoin's price to have these big entities buying Bitcoin. And I've said why before, but I'll reiterate it here. They buy it OTC. If you don't know what OTC is, it's over the counter, which means they're buying Bitcoin below spot market value from people like miners or whales who want to liquidate their Bitcoin fast, sell it fast for cash. So they sell it below market value so that it sells easier. So these corporations like Strategy come in and they buy Bitcoin below market value, right? Which in turn does not affect the value of Bitcoin. It doesn't pump the price with these purchases, right? However, here's the detrimental part to Bitcoin. When they sell it market. So they dump it at market value, right? Which does affect the price of Bitcoin in a negative way. So when they buy it, it doesn't pump Bitcoin, but when they sell it, it dumps Bitcoin, right? You see how that can be a negative thing for Bitcoin? Bitcoin maxis won't tell you that though, right? He further added that the liquidity in crypto markets had thinned out following a massive wave of liquidations earlier in the month due to the rising trade tensions. Nonetheless, the analyst believes the underlying story is still bullish. He concludes, quote, still, the price is likely to hit new all-time highs before the year ends once retail and whales begin to size in again. In conclusion, the corporate Bitcoin adoption report shows that institutional demand for Bitcoin now exceeds supply by at least 2 times. While miners are reportedly producing at least 900 Bitcoin a day, companies are acquiring approximately 1,755 Bitcoin a day. Only time will tell when the Bitcoin price will rise to match the corporate adoption. So, a little bit of an explanation for those people who are wondering, right? Still waiting for the supply and demand crunch to take hold. All right. Sticky inflows are driving this huge rally in gold, says Goldman Sachs' Don.
Gold and silver are both pacing for their best week in 5 years. For more on that recent rally and his outlook for the precious metals, we want to bring in Don Striven. He is co-head of global commodities research at Goldman Sachs. And Don, you recently brought up your price target for gold, the price you expect by December of next year. What'd you say, 4,900 instead of the 4,300 that you'd been at previously? What made you say, aside from just watching how quickly things are running, hey, we better get ahead of this?
The main reason is that the drivers of this huge rally in gold is sticky inflows, both from private investors with long investment horizons and central banks. It's not driven by mean reverting, noisy spec positioning.
So it's not retail day trading type of situation?
Yeah. We're really seeing significant client interest from real money with long investment horizons, asset managers, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds. And so this big diversification rally in the gold market that started with central banks in 23 and 24 is now broadening. Central banks are not only accelerating the pace of purchases after the seasonal summer low, you're also seeing an inflow from investors with a strategic long-term allocation. And I think the risks to our already bullish forecast of $4,900 by the end of next year are skewed to the upside.
Really?
Because we don't incorporate in our base case the boost to ETF gold inflows from private sector diversification. Our bullish forecast is driven by central banks diversifying and by Fed cuts boosting ETF inflows. But the upside from private sector diversification is very large. The key intuition is that the gold market is small. It's about 70 times smaller than the US Treasury market. So only you need a relatively small diversification step to cause a lot of upside.
So you're basically saying momentum could drive that even further. This is your outlook without really considering momentum?
Without really considering the possibility that investors significantly raise their strategic allocation to gold in an environment where the policy outlook and the geopolitical outlook is likely to remain uncertain.
What is the risk to your bullish outlook for gold?
It is really, really quite high. The rule of thumb is that
what's the risk? What could take that down?
The downside risk. Okay,
yeah.
So the main driver of a bullish forecast is really central bank buying. So mechanically, we have about 15 percentage points of upside from central bank buying. So mechanically, the downside risk is that central banks stop buying or start selling. History suggests that these central banks' gold buying cycles tend to be very long, and they don't start selling unless you have a significant easing in either risk related to sanctions, geopolitical risks, or risk related to global fiscal policy. And neither of those risks seems to be easing in our base case anytime soon.
Yeah, I guess the risks to the idea that the tariffs would come down would basically be a change in administration, and that's not happening for quite some time.
Yes, I think what are the fresh catalysts of the latest rally? I think uncertainty about trade, credit, regional banking, fiscal policy, seasonality of central banks, buying, major investors recommending a higher strategic gold allocation. I think the main driver still of our bullish forecast is central bank buying, and for that to change, you would need to see a sea change in the risk of sanctions on central banks.
Don, we got to run, but you're bullish on silver as well? You think that run continues?
We think the medium-term path for silver prices is higher, as Fed cuts should also boost ETF inflows into the silver market. But the outlook is more two-sided, more volatile, because the silver market doesn't have this structural central bank bid, and because part of the rally is driven by the squeeze in the physical London market, which is tight and which could reverse.
You can't explain silver through gold. You just can't. And some people think silver has more reason because there's all the industrial demand for things that silver goes into. But
historically, they move together.
I know, but it's
investor inflows move together.
Genuine.
But fundamentally, to your point,
the
driver of the gold rally since 22 is central banks. Central banks are not buying silver. So we think the bullish outlook looks more certain.
Did the Hunt brothers have kids? Maybe it's their grandkids.
I don't know, but the recent rally is a reminder of history which suggests that silver.
See, for me, though, silver has more demand in terms of utility. That's what I would say about it, and I disagree with him. I think that as rate cuts start to come into play, I think you're going to start to see risk on appetite start to take hold, and you're going to start to see capital flow out of precious metals and into more risk assets like crypto, right? Or small cap stocks. Miller Mountain says, we love you, Rob, with you through whatever, without a doubt. Amen to that, man. Amen to that. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that silver comes back down so I can accumulate some more maples, man. Absolutely. No capitulation, just consolidation. What this Bitcoin correction really signals. Bitcoin came under renewed selling pressure on Thursday as it slid below $105,000. The latest market downturn has reignited comparisons to earlier cycles. But on-chain data suggests the 2025 landscape is structurally stronger than 2020 or 2021. Unlike past corrections, when exchange reserves surged as investors rushed to sell, CryptoQuant said that today's balances remain near decade lows. This reflected a leaner supply on trading venues. The scarcity of readily available Bitcoin dampens the potential for prolonged sell-offs and creates conditions for quicker stabilization. Meanwhile, long-term holders appear largely unfazed by recent volatility. The long-term holders spent output profit ratio has stayed close to neutral, in sharp contrast with the deep sub-1 reading of previous capitulations that signaled mass losses and panic exits. Instead of dumping positions, these holders are selectively realizing profits. History shows Bitcoin's patterns of recovery. The March 2020 crash, for one, cleared excess leverage before whales began buying again. In May of 2021 as well, large wallets repeated the cycle, selling high, then buying low. After the August 2023 US debate downgrade, another quick rebound followed as investors resumed. Each cycle demonstrated the market's growing ability to absorb shocks and recovery. The present setup does not equate to structural weakness. Unless a surge in exchanges inflows triggers broad selling pressure, the analysis stated that Bitcoin's current retracement looks less like capitulation and more like consolidation. Swissblock also observed that Bitcoin's downturn reflects consolidation rather than capitulation. The analytics platform said that after weeks of heavy exchange outflows driven by long-term holder accumulation, some selling has resumed, but with significantly milder intensity. Despite the shift, Bitcoin continues to flow out of exchanges even as the pace is slower, indicating that investors remain largely confident and are not rushing to liquidate holdings. Capitulation is not taking place, only by panic sellers. Beebs, copper, yes, but I like to physically hold my maples though, brother, right? Shutdown is costing us close to $1 billion a day to do nothing.
Adjourned yesterday after failing for the 10th time to pass a continuing resolution, dragging the government shutdown on until at least Monday. Joining us now, Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. And we're talking off camera, Senator. You think I'm crazy. It's Friday. You know what I mean? This is your problem. I've made it sort of my problem. But I was saying to you that the notion that somehow that people have been convinced that CR, continuing resolution, is a time to negotiate, or where you're supposedly allowed to negotiate appropriations issues, and if you don't get it, you're going to shut down the government. That is not normal. And mainstream media at this point is saying, oh, I see it. Republicans are refusing to negotiate, but at least Josh Hawley is reaching across the aisle. This is just to keep the government open. Then you start talking about appropriations and these bigger issues afterwards. How did you lose this fight?
Well, I don't think we've lost the fight.
How do polls show that they blame Republicans?
Well, polls are as good as a person that's get on the sample poll. But I love the passion. Honestly, I love the passion and the frustration you have, because we have the same issue. Only thing is, my mama told me a long time ago, you can't argue with crazy. And when you're dealing with the situation and this is how crazy it is. Remember this continuous resolution that is clean, meaning that
they voted on. Schumer backed it once.
Schumer wrote it.
Right.
Remember, this is a CR that we voted on back at last September to keep the government open when Schumer was leader of the Senate and Biden was in the White House. This is the same one they voted for in December, same one they voted for in January before President Trump was sworn in, and the same one he voted for in March. There is no right or policy. There is nothing to negotiate. It's a plain, simple CR. If there was some Republican policies that was on this, and there was some give and take, that's fine.
Right.
But they're saying, accept our $1.5 trillion to open it up for 2 weeks, or we're going to stay shut down.
It's pure and simple blackmail that they will not do it without Republicans doing what they want. And if the shoe was on the other foot, it was a couple of years ago, I guarantee you the media would be going insane that Republicans had shut down.
I've never been a fan of anybody shutting down the government. It's the wrong way to do business. But I will say, from their perspective on this, it reminds me of my little brothers. I had one brother who was a year and a half younger than the other one. When they were little, Brian, the younger brother, bit Bobby. And my uncle yelled at him, "You can't bite him." And Brian ran off crying, and my uncle chased him down and said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Because if I don't bite him, I can't win." Like, that's what the situation is.
That's actually kind of, I was thinking the same thing. You got to do whatever it takes to win the fight. but know you can win when you
All's
walk into
fair in
this
love and war.
situation. Yes, but with
The
this
ends
situation-
justify the means. There's a lot of expressions.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of government shutdowns, no matter who does them. I think it's terrible for the people who get caught in the middle.
Yeah, in 2013, I got caught up in the government shutdown when the Republicans shut down.
Yeah.
I swore I would never do that again because it was the stupidest thing we did.
horrible
Because
for people.
people don't realize how much it costs the American people. Right now, we have 750,000 employees furloughed. They're sitting at home costing American taxpayers $400 million a day.
We're going to pay them whether they're working
regardless
or not.
they work or not. No one's going to work for free. Everybody's going to get back pay.
But in the meantime, they have a lot of pain and suffering that's going through.
Because they're in uncertainty. A lot of them live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
But then you even think about all the contracts, the federal contracts we have around the world, and state buildings, the highways, the roads, the defense, that are all stopped right now because no funding is going to it. There's penalties in every one of them. I bet once we get into this, we'll see that that Schumer shutdown is costing us close to $1 billion a day to do nothing. To do nothing. And they can't explain why they're voting against it other than it's politics for them.
Right. Well, Republicans have come this far, and it looks like Trump has resolve, and Mike Johnson and John Thune. They're talking a good game. Will they stick to this, or because Democrats are going to have to eventually say, okay, you're right, we can't.
So,
or do they fold and then they'll
no, we're not going to fold. We're not going to give an inch because where do you give an inch at? There's nothing
I don't know what
to
you do.
negotiate on our side. That's why we're saying. So it's easy for us to say we're not giving an inch because there's nothing that prevents them from opening the government. They could open it in 5 minutes if they chose to. What I think is going to happen is I thought they would open it up after No King's Day. The Democrats that I'm talking to, they're somewhat trying to be reasonable. They thought they said Schumer didn't think the optics of opening it before the No Kings rally was bad for them for primaries. So I thought they were going to reopen it. But yesterday you had 11 Democrats vote against the defense bill that they voted for in committee. They voted against it on the floor. Now I think because President Trump made a very smart move by paying the troops that took that negotiating off the table, left the federal employees still for a Russ vote to look underneath the hood and see who actually needs to be working and who doesn't need to be working. It put the Democrats in a bad situation, and their only hope now is that the insurance companies sent out these letters saying they're going to raise premiums by 1,000%. Is what they're claiming, but they also claim that millions of people are going to die because of the one big beautiful bill, which that didn't happen. So I think they're waiting for a stronger hand to negotiate while they're holding the American people hostage.
Those insurance letters will go out.
Think about that. The government will be shut down for almost 9 weeks by then. It's absurd what they're talking about.
You don't see some grand bargain. The president might even finally say, okay, that's what Senator Kelly said he wanted a couple of days ago. If the president assures Democrats that there will be an extension of the pandemic era Obamacare subsidies, they'll accept that if the
we
president
can't assure that because there's
the president couldn't he?
No, he can't. Well, he can't assure how people are going to vote. No one can guarantee an outcome.
He's got a lot of sway.
He's still. That's a very.
I don't want him to do it, but
yeah, it's very tough for us to say that we're going to vote to extend a premium tax that not one Republican voted for 4 years ago. Democrats were in complete control of the government then. They purposely made the the premium tax to expire because it was COVID related. And remember, this was supposed to offset the affordable health care. If affordable health care is actually affordable, then why do we need a $40 billion subsidy going to insurance companies every year?
Look, Democrats have just said, and maybe we do need taxpayer-funded health care for everyone. But they should just say what they want, because that's what we're doing. It's just going to cost more and more.
But what do they want at this time? See, Joe, the problem is they don't know what they want. The party's in disarray. Their party is at the lowest approval rating it's ever been in history. They have AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are socialists, and Mondani, who's a communist, who's running the party now. And then on the other facet of the group, you have Jasmine and Tlaib and Omar.
So the shutdown continues. Chris, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for the support. It's always appreciated, guys, knowing you guys got my back. It's absolutely amazing. Candyman says the squirrels must be expecting a cold winter. They're gathering more nuts than usual. Yesterday, my sister disappeared. And my wife. Dave says, don't sleep on platinum was once higher than gold. Once more than gold. Yes, absolutely. Jerome Powell in the house. Scratching that chin. What's going on? All right, guys, listen, I got to get out of here. I got some coaching calls I got to do over on the Patreon. Get over there, guys. It is Open Mic Friday night. If you want to have a lively discussion, the microphone and the camera turned over to you to have a debate, have a conversation about what's going on in the market, how you're feeling, and how other people are feeling. Join our open mic night tonight over on the Patreon. It's free to our Patreon members, so jump aboard, check it out, and yeah, book your one-on-one coaching calls as well, or join our group coaching calls, whatever. Join our trading group. I will be dropping another trade video over there today, giving an update on what's going on there. John says, did gold hit its peak? Very, very possibly. Very, very possibly, John. So yes, guys, jump over there, book your coaching calls, get in on our trading group, guys. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. Get in on our microcap gems and so much more. The link is down below, or if it's easier for you, use the QR code in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.